With Abdulfattah Adeyemi, you unlock a world of wisdom, growth, and connection. It's time to live, love, learn, and build a better world together. Be inspired. Be motivated. Edit your universe.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. My name is Abdulfattah Adeyemi, and today's topic is what marriage will do for you. It is reaching you from the platform of Bainakum Family Counseling Center. What will marriage do for you? It's a question, actually. And if we say what marriage will do for you, it's a pointer to say, okay, these are the things, or this is what particularly marriage will do for you. Incidentally, marriage is going to do a lot more for you than what we are going to be talking about now. But I need you to listen attentively, pay the attention, and who knows, you may be able to find what exactly marriage will do for you. Once you know that, you'll be expecting it. And once you know it, you'll be cultivating it. Once you know it, you'll be attracting it. Once you know it, you allow it to happen. And once you know it, you'll be able to savour the blessings that marriage is supposed to do for you. Marriage is not merely a social milestone or a cultural expectation. It is one of Allah's most generous gifts to human heart. It is where companionship softens loneliness. It is where mercy learns a language to express itself. And it is where two imperfect souls discover tranquility by walking toward Allah together. The Quran says, "Fafirru ilallah." Move swiftly towards Allah. And that is part of what marriage is going to do. Those who enter marriage expecting perfection, they are often disappointed, because perfect people are not real, and real people are not perfect. But those who enter marriage to seek growth, they are constantly rewarded, because they see that they begin to grow even when this growth is slow and calibrated. The sweetness of marriage is not found only in joy and laughter, but also in the vulnerability that we share together. Sometimes in the grief that we experience, sometimes in some other emotions that we experience together. That is, we are weak as human beings, we are helpless also, and we are actually imperfect. It is in having someone who sees your flaws up close and still chooses you every day. That is where we find the sweetness of marriage. Marriage does not remove the burdens of life, but it gives you a partner with whom those burdens become lighter when you share carrying the burdens together, or when you share the responsibilities together. It becomes a lot easier. Marriage changes ordinary moments into meaningful memories, and it teaches the soul the beauty of consistency, the beauty of patience, and mutual purpose. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes marriage as Sukūn, that is tranquility. Allah didn't describe marriage as an excitement without end, but a deep emotional rest. Tranquility will give you that rest. It is a trip of becoming. Becoming what? Becoming more patient, becoming more generous, becoming more self-aware, and becoming more God-conscious. That is what the trip, the journey of marriage is all about. You are becoming something else. And what you are becoming something better and better. Through marriage, a person learns how to love beyond ego. They learn how to forgive without keeping score. And they learn how to grow without losing themselves. When you understand marriage very well, when you understand it correctly, you see that marriage does not take away your freedom. It refines it. It does not weaken you. It matures you. It does not complete you per se. It helps you to become who you are meant to be. And for those willing to embrace the purpose of marriage, marriage becomes one of the most life-changing acts of worship in life. So let's look at the emotional sweetness of marriage. That's something very sweet, you know. One of the greatest sweetness of marriage is the gift of emotional safety. In a world that constantly demands strength, a marriage offers a place where one is allowed to be soft. Your rough edges are trimmed and you become smooth. It is the relief of coming home to someone who understands your calm, someone who recognizes your exhaustion and cares enough to ask, "Are you okay?" without needing an explanation. When they ask, "Are you all right?" it's not as if they want you to explain, it's just out of care because they can see that you are exhausted. This emotional refuge is not showy, it's not dramatic. It is soft, consistent, and deeply comforting. That is one of the sweetness of marriage, to come home and meet somebody that can look at your face and will smile. The contagious nature of smile will come to your face and you also smile back. That is something you cannot achieve just by looking into the mirror. It has to take a companion that will do that for you, that will give you that emotional safety. Another way through which marriage sweetens our life is through companionship. It changes solitude into mutual experience. You know, meals taste better when eaten together, and worries feel lighter when spoken aloud to somebody else. And that's not all. Happiness becomes even more meaningful when witnessed by someone who genuinely cares for you. Even in moments of disagreement, there's a reassurance in knowing that the other person is still on your side, still invested, and still committed to the journey of life that both of you are going through together. Another sweetness of marriage lies in being known and still accepted. You know, you are known as you are and you are accepted as you are. That's another sweetness. Marriage allows two people to witness each other's growth. We witness each other's fears, our habits, our imperfections over the time. When love remains, despite this closeness, it nurtures confidence and emotional stability. This acceptance does not mean ignoring faults. It means choosing compassion over condemnation and choosing growth over resentment. It all boils down to what we choose to see, what we choose to say, and how we choose to react to situations. Like they say, half empty and half full, it's up to us to decide. And maybe the most profound emotional sweetness of marriage is that it teaches the heart how to love deeply and responsibly. It refines emotions, it disciplines reactions, and it expands empathy. Through marriage, emotions are no longer self-centered. They become shared. And when you share emotions, joy doubles, sorrow divides, and the heart learns that true sweetness is not found in fleeting romance, but in enduring emotional connection that we have both built together over time, over many years of living together and sharing together, joy, sorrow, and what have you. The one who shares romantic posts with you is not same as the one who will be there to share in your struggles. I hope we know the difference between the two. It's not all about romance. When we are looking for sweetness in marriage, it's not only about romance. Romance is not how many times you say "I love you" to each other every day, but in how you show up for each other when you are sick. Romance is not in fantasizing how to have a great family, but in spending sleepless nights together when your baby won't stop crying all through the night. Romance goes beyond the picture perfect photo shoot postings on the social media. True romance is in what we actually contribute to each other's growth in life. Get it? So, if you are looking for the sweetness of marriage, it's not only from romance you find it. It is in being there for one another. It is in, still being sweet even when things are bitter naturally. It is in being sweet even when things are difficult for both of you, and being there for each other. Marriage can also become sweet for us being a spiritual growth. We grow in marriage. That's one of the things that marriage will do for you. Marriage is not only an emotional excursion, it's an intense spiritual training ground. Through marriage, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala places another soul in your life, not merely to comfort you, but to refine you. We have been given to one another as amana, as a trust. Allah gave you your wife as your trust, and Allah gave you your husband as a trust. Every act of patience, even when you are really pissed off, every moment of restraint when you want to lash out, every choice to forgive instead of retaliate becomes an act of worship on its own. In this way, marriage converts daily interactions into opportunities for drawing close to Almighty Allah. In marriage, the ego is challenged in a way that the solitude of single life never could. You may be single, but there are some things you cannot experience until and unless you are married. Because in marriage, you learn to give when it is easier to withhold. You learn to listen when it is more comfortable to speak. And you learn to choose mercy even when pride demands victory. These moments are not accidents. They are lessons Allah is teaching us through marriage. This is when your home becomes a school of a sort. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses marriage to polish your character. That is, you are more grateful and you are more graceful. You are more civilized. You've got more finesse. You've learned more humility. You are better with your self-control. And you have mastered sincerity through lived experience rather than theory. Marriage is meant to make you be a better person. You no longer shout. You don't get angry anyhow, because if it is for anger, there are many things that always get you angry. So you've learned to kill your anger, and you have learned to embrace forgiveness. You've even learned to overlook some things. You've also learned to hear some things and remove your ears from there. And you have learned to know some things and still love your partner regardless of what you know. Still on your spiritual growth, marriage also strengthens consciousness of Allah by making accountability unavoidable. A spouse witnesses your habits, they see your reactions, and they know about your consistency. No performance, no pretense, no editing, no filters. One cannot pretend righteousness at home for long. This exposure encourages sincerity in faith. It pushes couples to align private behavior with public devotion. For many people, marriage becomes the mirror that reveals where faith needs to be strengthened. And that's to say that, look, you can't pretend for long. If you're a righteous person, marriage will let us know you are truly righteous. If you are not righteous, it will show. You become more accountable because there's no performance. You can't be pretending forever. If you are somebody who is very insulting, then we know. By the time you get married, you see yourself. And above all, marriage teaches that love itself can be an endeavor in spirituality. Marriage shows us that love is a spiritual thing. It is an act of worship. It is not just a biological thing. It's not just chemical components. It's not just the serotonin or some other, chemistry that you felt for one another. It's a spiritual thing. And that's why love itself can be an act of worship. It provides emotional support. It fulfills rights, and doing all of these things, including showing kindness and maintaining justice within the home. All of these are all deeds that are beloved to Allah. And when marriage is approached with intention, good intention, it becomes a path of ibadah, a path where two people help each other to walk steadily towards Jannah. They grow spiritually, not in isolation, but together. Now, you will be able to grow together with somebody. That's what marriage will do for you. You are not just growing alone. You use me let me say, for example, you use me as your canvas to practice kindness. I use you as somebody on whom I can practice care. So I care for you. You show kindness to me. I get rewarded for caring for you. And you get rewarded for being kind towards me. I love you because of Allah. Then I get rewarded by Allah for loving you because of Him. You also reciprocate the same thing to me. So mutually, husband and wife in marriage, it becomes an ibadah because I now have somebody I can do good deeds to consistently and constantly 24/7. Now, that was some sweet things about marriage. Let us now look at what marriage teaches you about yourself. What is it that marriage teaches you about your own self? Something you would never have known, something you would never have learned until when you get married. Are you ready for this now? Okay. Marriage has a unique way of revealing who you truly are. Not who you believe yourself to be, and not who you appear to be in public, but who you are in moments of stress. Who exactly are you at the time of disagreement? Who exactly are you when you are fatigued, when you are tired, when you are vulnerable? You got to know who exactly are you, when things are not going well for you the way you expected them to be. There are some part of you that you can never discover until when you get married. It is then you now know that, so I am this kind of a person. You see, some people are sweet and lovely in times of peace, but when anger comes, they catch fire. Other people appear strong on the outside, but greed and insecurities have got their hearts rotten. You will think you are a faithful person until when you have to forgive your spouse. Then you see yourself as you truly are. You see yourself as somebody who is unforgiving, somebody who is resentful, capricious, gruesome, cantankerous, vile, vindictive, mean, and full of shit. It's then you realize that you are nothing the way you thought you were. In marriage, your habits, your assumptions, your fears, and your emotional patterns come to the surface. You can't hide them anymore. It becomes a mirror that reflects your strengths honestly and exposes your weaknesses without filters. Who you truly are is not who you are when you are happy, when everything is going on fine. Who you truly are is what you become when fear comes, when anger comes, when somebody offends you. You can't say you are somebody who is forgiving until somebody really offends you. It is then you know whether you truly are as forgiving as you thought you were or as not. Through marriage, many people discover that patience is harder than they thought. They realize that communication requires more humility than confidence. And they now gather that love demands consistency, not convenience. When some couples have been married for many years, the husband that you thought is God-fearing, he will suddenly start eating haram dates. You know what I mean by dates? By having dates with non-mahram girls. He starts thinking that haram fruits taste better than the halal fruit he has. Loyalty and commitment are thrown out the windows. Taqwa and sincere intention become compromised. Lowering the gaze is now negotiable. Somebody that is blinded by greed, by cupidity, by infidelity, and discontent with what he has, will now start hiding behind polygamy to deceive his wife that he wants to marry a second wife. Now you see, love doesn't lie, but people can lie with love. And I hope that doesn't resemble someone you know. People who will say they have God fear in them, but after a while, they begin, eating forbidden fruit in the dark. And then they come to the open and pretend as if all is well. If not for marriage, even you too, as a man, you think you have fear of Allah in you. Until when you get married and you have to lower your gaze and you have to be contented with your wife. Talking about contentment, some ladies have been hearing the word contentment since when they were born. But they won't truly understand the meaning until when Shaitan starts brandishing some supermen to them on the social media. super sheikhs, super imams, super men, super celebrities. They now prefer those perfect husbands from paradise. They prefer them above their own husbands. After a while, a lethal mix of rapacious gluttony and treacherous perfidy makes them to jettison a marriage in which they never invested anything in the first place. They have nothing to lose because they never had anything at stake from the onset. Marriage is lifelong commitment, not a temporary convenience. Get it? So you get to see that gluttony, the one they call longer throat, is what will be disturbing a lot of people that thought they understood what contentment is all about. However, marriage teaches you how to handle disappointment, how you respond when you are misunderstood, and whether you choose growth or defensiveness when corrected. And you know, some people don't do well with criticism. They can't handle disagreements. They are not teachable and they are not reformable. You read meanings into everything. That is your problem. That is why many people are not enjoying the sweetness of marriage. But marriage is going to teach you about your own very self. With marriage, you now know that you read meanings into everything everybody says. Your spouse can't even play with you. Your spouse can't crack joke around you. You overthink and you overanalyze. You assess till you are depressed. You are obsessed till you are possessed. Then you realize to your dismay that your self-serving intelligence is not getting you anywhere because you are being too smart to enjoy a happy marriage. Too smart to enjoy marriage. In marriage, you can know your right, but you may not know any peace. Shall I say that again? You can know your right, but you will know no peace. In marriage, you can demand for justice and still be wrong. In marriage, you can say, this is what I would rather do. You can say, this is what makes sense to me. But by the time you apply that sense, you just see that you are the stupidest person in this world. That is marriage there for you. Marriage requires certain kind of wisdom that goes beyond what you learned in school and what you read on the social media. Marriage goes beyond Googling up your problems every time. There are certain situations in marriages that you cannot find the answers on Google. It requires some wisdom. These lessons are rarely comfortable, but they are deeply valuable. And you are going to learn them by hook or by crook. That is one of the things that marriage will do for you. You will learn things you never knew you could ever learn. And you become somebody you never expected you will ever become. Marriage also reveals your perception of control and expectation. You learn whether you expect to be served or you are willing to serve. Whether you seek partnership or you seek dominance. And you learn whether you equate love with effort or with entitlement. Through these realizations, marriage invites self-awareness, not to shame you, but to refine you, to make you see life for exactly what it is. And perhaps the most important lesson marriage teaches us is that personal growth is not optional. Yes, you can't just be there now and be looking cool, looking fine, applying makeup, looking like wooden toy. That is not all about marriage. You can't just be there forming men around the messenger, doing nafila, doing tahajjud, fasting every day, and not doing other things for yourself in life. You cannot remain emotionally stagnant and expect a marriage to flourish. Marriage is work. Through love, through conflict, through forgiveness, and through compromise. Yes, sometimes compromise. Marriage will gently but persistently push you. It will push you to become more self-aware, and you become more emotionally intelligent if you allow yourself to learn, and in fact, you become even more accountable. And in doing so, it helps you to meet a better version of yourself, one you may never have discovered alone as a single person. It's until when you get married that you actually see all of these things, that you are not actually growing. You thought you were growing, but you are not growing. But when you are inside the marriage, you get to see whether you are growing or not. And this reality is going to dawn on you whether you are ready to accept it or not. Now, let me explain to you why I said earlier that marriage is lifelong commitment, not temporary convenience. That is, marriage is a long-term investment, not a transaction. You want me to say that again? Marriage is a long-term investment and not a short-term transaction. Many people enter marriage with a transactional mindset. That is, I give, so I must receive. You know, that kind of a thing. I give, so I must receive. I commit to this marriage, so I must be rewarded. You know, I show love, then it must be reciprocated. When expectations are framed this way, disappointment is almost inevitable, to the extent that your name will become Mr. Disappointment. Marriage was never designed to be a short-term exchange of benefits. It's a long-term investment of effort, of patience, and intentional growth. Its rewards are not always immediate, but they are longer lasting. Like any meaningful investment, marriage requires consistency before results become visible. It's like you are investing in a business. It's not every time, it's not all of a sudden that you start getting dividends from your investment. Sometimes you have to wait. Just like marriage too, sometimes you have to wait. You have to be consistent about it before you start seeing results. Some seasons demand more giving than receiving. Some seasons demand more patience than pleasure, and sometimes it demands more endurance than ease. These phases are not signs of failure. They are part of the process through which trust, depth, and resilience are built. A transaction ends once the exchange is complete, but marriage matures through time. Marriage matures through shared history, and marriage matures through perseverance together. It takes time for marriages to mature. An investment mindset shifts the focus from entitlement to contribution. You are not saying, okay, this is what I'm supposed to get. No, you are looking at, this is what I'm supposed to contribute. So instead of asking, what am I getting? The question becomes, what am I building? Every act of kindness, every difficult conversation handled with respect, and every sacrifice made with sincerity adds value to the relationship. And so, over time, these deposits compound into emotional security, into mutual understanding, and companionship. Yes, tested and trusted companionship. Marriage rewards those who are willing to think long term. It is not sustained by constant excitement, but by commitment. You are not going to be excited every time. Sometimes you just have to be committed, and you have to continue to be committed. Sometimes you can only sustain it not only through commitment, but through vision. What are we going to do? What are we going to become? What do we want to do in the next 5 years? This marriage, what is the purpose, and what are we looking forward to achieve in the next 10 years of this marriage? That is what marriage will teach you. When couples understand that marriage is an investment rather than being a transaction, they stop keeping score and they start building legacy. Instead of fighting and quarreling, people settling quarrel for you every day. We are fighting today. We are keeping malice tomorrow. My husband is looking at me. My wife is not talking to me. Instead of all of those ones, keeping scores, why don't you just start building a life together? Start discussing what businesses are we doing. Start discussing what are we investing in. Start discussing how will life be a lot better for us. That's what you should be doing now. All you know is quarrel and fight. Quarrel. You will go to meet counselors to come and settle quarrel, to come and resolve conflict, to come and address trauma, to come and cure madness every time. But you will never go to an investor to educate you on what to invest on. You will not go to a successful business person to teach you how to do good business. What is wrong with you now? So if you are able to understand that marriage is not keeping score but building legacy, in that shift, you find one of the greatest sweetness of marital life. That is knowing that what you are nurturing today will serve you both for a lifetime. When you are, as you are married now, your children are growing, Have you ever sat down to say, okay, when these children actually grow up and they all, finish school, they get married, they have their own lives, the two of us, what will we be doing? What will become of us? Have you ever thought of that? All of your children disturbing the house, jumping from chair to table, upturning everything, playing with the curtain, throwing your hijab away, making you look for your cap whenever you want to go to the masjid. When those children grow up and they leave the home, and it remains only you and your wife, what are you going to be doing? I think you should be discussing all of those kind of things. Looking at those kind of things, investing in what is going to happen in the next 40 years if both of you are still alive. These are part of the things that can make marriage to be sweet. And you cannot do this outside of marriage. It is until when you get married that marriage is going to make you realize this, if you are ready to realize. Now, let us go deeper now into the meat of this our talk. And I want you to pay attention. We have 3 pillars of a beautiful marriage according to the glorious Quran, chapter 30, verse 21, the one we normally quote. وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ أَنْ خَلَقَ لَكُم مِّنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ أَزْوَاجًا لِتَسْكُنُوا إِلَيْهَا وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَكُم مَّوَدَّةً وَرَحْمَةً إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَاتٍ لِقَوْمٍ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ. Surah Rum, chapter 30, verse 21. And it is in that verse that you find those 3 words: tranquility, love, and mercy. These are the 3 pillars of a beautiful marriage. Now, let us zoom in now and see what we mean by this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not leave the purpose of marriage to human interpretation alone. If not, people would have got various kinds of interpretation to what the purpose of marriage is supposed to be. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala defined marriage clearly when he said that he placed between spouses tranquility, that's Sukūn or Sakina, and Allah put love, that is Mawaddah, and Allah put mercy, that is Raḥmah. These are not poetic ideals, they are functional necessities. A marriage becomes beautiful not by wealth. If not, only wealthy people will have beautiful marriage. Not by status. If not, only people in high class will enjoy beautiful marriage. And not by perfection. If not, nobody will even ever enjoy beautiful marriage. But by how deeply these 3 qualities are cultivated. Now, let us take it one after the other and let us scroll forward to number 1, tranquility. That's Sukūn, making the home a place of peace. This is where we shift from the individuals in the marriage to the quality of the home itself. We are talking about having a beautiful marriage, what marriage will do for you. Now we are looking into the home. What is the composite of the home? What is the quality of the home itself? And one of those qualities that every home that is meant to be beautiful, one of the qualities, regardless of whether they are wealthy or not, or they are of higher status or not, or they are of high class or not, and that is tranquility. It is non-negotiable. Peace in the home. Tranquility in marriage is not silence. It is not submission. It is not emotional withdrawal. It is emotional safety. It is the feeling that home is a place where the nervous system can finally rest. A tranquil home is not free from conversation or correction. Not that they keep quiet without saying anything, but it is free from constant tension. It's a home that is free from interrogation and emotional warfare. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes marriage as Sukūn, he is describing a space where the soul settles, not one where it remains alert and defensive at all times. As for the husband, tranquility often comes through what is called emotional atmosphere. When the wife is in the room, his body relaxes. The husband does not feel like he is walking into a courtroom where every word will be examined, where every statement is misunderstood, or where every word of his is used against him later. He does not feel forced to compete with her phone, or with her mood swings, or with her ego for attention. He is not constantly required to defend himself or explain his existence. He doesn't have to answer questions or respond to interrogations. You know, you will not be coming from outside and you'll be thinking of what to explain. As in some cases, as soon as the husband enters, the first thing the wife asks is, where are you coming from? And then she will like make him to have to start explaining where he has been, what he has done, who he has talked to, whether he's coming from the masjid or not, whether he met a friend or not. Then a man that is supposed to be coming home to rest for the sake of Allah is coming home to relax. But what he meets is not just question. These are more or less like interrogations, the way you interrogate criminals to confess. A good woman brings peace into her husband's life. Her presence brings excitement, not anxiety. Her company brings connection, not confusion. Her words bring clarity and hilarity, not gloom and doom. No drama, no unnecessary problems, no emotional traps, no negative energies, and no negative attitudes. This does not mean she has no needs or opinions. This does not mean she doesn't have anything to say, but it means she communicates them with wisdom, with good timing, and with emotional intelligence. And at the same time, tranquility in the home is not the wife's responsibility alone. The wife also needs peace to thrive. A tranquil husband is emotionally available. He is psychologically consistent. He is not mad today, well tomorrow. And he is safe to be with, not mean and dangerous like a broken bottle. He does not rule through fear. He doesn't rule through cold shoulder or silent treatment or some unpredictability. He provides stability, not only financially, but also emotionally. His wife does not feel like she must beg for attention, or that she must walk on eggshells or compete with his ego or with his friends or with his work or his life distractions. The wife doesn't have to choose between him and his friends. The wife doesn't have to choose between him and his work. This good husband listens without belittling. He corrects without humiliating. And he leads without intimidation. When he enters the room, it is like light enters a dark space. He has a portable sunlight that he brings with him into the home. And you can see the radiation on his face that is manifested through his smiles and demonstrated through his generosity. When his presence is registered, the wife basks in the spotlight. The wife suddenly becomes the center of attention. She feels highlighted, not deleted. She feels secure, not small. She feels elevated, not erased. Both spouses must understand that tranquility is created through daily choices. Your tone of words, the timing of saying what you want to say, how problems are raised, the context on which you build your discussion. All of these are very important for a home to be peaceful. A marriage loses tranquility not because issues exist, but because issues are handled without mercy and without wisdom. We want to say something, we just drop it on each other like that, without weighing the mood, without weighing the way the other person will receive it. Constant complaints, unresolved resentment, sarcasm, emotional withdrawal, or passive aggression, all of these, they are poisons to the Sukūn, to the peace and tranquility. So peace is not accidental. It is maintained intentionally. In other words, tranquility grows when both husband and wife decide that my spouse should feel safer with me than with any other person in this world. When that intention governs words and reactions and behaviors, the home becomes what Allah intended it to be, a place where hearts rest, where love deepens, and where marriage feels like relief, not like labor. That was the first pillar of a sweet marriage. And here's the second pillar. Let us scroll now to pillar number 2. Love, al-Mawaddah, making affection intentional and visible. Love in marriage is not assumed, it is demonstrated. You don't just say you love and then it is inside your head. No, you have to show it. Allah did not describe marital love as a feeling that exists automatically, but as mawaddah. It is an active, expressive, and intentional affection, not by accident. You don't just love the person by accident. You don't just fall in love with the person. You stand in love with that person. You want me to say that again? You don't fall in love in mawaddah. You stand in love. It is love that shows up in words. It's love that shows up in attention and gentleness and effort. A marriage does not feel loving because two people said I do, or they said I accept, or they keep saying I love you, I love you, I love you. It feels loving because both spouses consistently do love. They do love. That is, they don't just say love, they do love. Like Allah said to Dawood, Allah said, Imalu ala Dawuda shukran wa qalilu min ibadiya shakur. O you household of Dawood, do gratitude. Act gratitude. Don't just say, I'm grateful. Act it and behave it. So in marriage, don't just say, I love you. Act it and behave you. And that's why I said, do love. Don't just fall in love. Stand in love. As for the husband, love is often experienced through appreciation, through respect, and emotional presence. A loving wife makes her husband feel wanted, not merely needed. She speaks kindly about him, especially in his absence. She acknowledges his efforts, even when they are imperfect. She shows interest in him beyond utility. You know what I mean by that? That is, he is her priority, not her utility. She shows interest in his thoughts. She knows when something is bothering his mind. She shows concern about his struggles. At least she supports him by not giving him trouble. And she pays attention to his dreams. She won't stand in his way of success. And that is love. That exactly is love. The kind of love that can guarantee a beautiful marriage that we're all looking for. Love is felt when she chooses him over distractions, when her tone reassures rather than dismisses, and when affection is not withheld as punishment, not when she starves him or he starves her of intimacy because he is angry with her or she is keeping malice with him. In such an environment, a man feels motivated to even give more, to protect more, and to grow more. For the wife, love is deeply tied to emotional attentiveness and consistency. Mr. Husband, listen to this. A loving husband is not emotionally absent. He is not psychologically unpredictable. He is not irrationally harsh with his wife. He communicates affection through presence, through reassurance, and gentle leadership. He does not assume that provision alone replaces tenderness. He combines both provision and tenderness together. Love is felt when he notices her emotional state. That is when your wife actually feels that you love her. You understand what I mean? Love is felt when you notice her emotional state, when the husband checks in without being asked, and when the husband expresses care through words and action. Small gestures like listening attentively, thoughtful messages, physical affection, and verbal reassurance. All of this can build emotional intimacy far more than grand but rare displays. Both spouses must understand that Mawaddah thrives on intention, not mood. Love expressed only when convenient or only when emotions are high will always fade. It doesn't last. But love expressed deliberately, especially during routine, during stress or misunderstanding, can deepen attachment and trust. Show of affection is sense of humor, expression of compliments, and physical closeness. All of these are not luxuries. They are emotional nourishment that we need in order to have an enjoyable marriage. When love is practiced intentionally, marriage becomes emotionally alive. Spouses feel seen, they feel desired, and they feel valued. Mawaddah turns companionship into connection, and it turns routine into romance. And when love is made visible, it protects the marriage from emotional starvation and reminds both hearts why they chose each other in the first place. As we are talking about love, let us pay a special homage to this mawaddah that Allah is talking about. Al-mawaddah is not flamboyant, yet it is unmistakable. You can't miss it when it is being shown to you and when you are showing it to others. It does not announce itself with perfection, but it reveals itself through presence. Love is where the heart remembers how to breathe. Not the love that flatters the ego, but the love that gives you peace of mind. The love that corrects you gently. The love that awaits when you are slow. The love that holds you when the world demands you to be strong. Love is not the absence of struggle. It is the decision to remain kind within it. It is choosing softness in a hard moment. It is choosing understanding over victory. It is choosing we when me feels easier. In marriage, love is found in the ordinary, not in usually the grandiose or the expensive things. It is found in listening without scrolling. It is found in touch without demand, in silence that feels safe, in laughter that heals all tiredness. It is developed slowly through consistency, not consumed quickly through excitement alone. If you have lost your way in life, just go to where love is. You will be welcomed regardless. If your heart grows heavy with burdens of life, return to love. You will be received regardless. If you are carrying the seed of greatness, just plant it in love. It will be nurtured regardless. If pride hardens your heart, soften it with love. If anger rises, let love speak first. Love does not make you weak. It makes you whole. It makes you complete. And when Allah places love between two hearts, Allah is not merely giving them comfort. Allah is giving them a path back to themselves, a path to one another, and a path towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That, ladies and gentlemen, that is love. Now, to the third pillar of a sweet marriage. Let us scroll forward now to number 3, which is mercy, Raḥmah. This is the gentle force that holds marriage together. It is the invisible hand that combines everything and that holds everything together without allowing things to disintegrate. Mercy in marriage is not weakness. It is not indulgence. It is the deliberate choice to soften, to forgive, and to understand when your heart might naturally harden. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala places mercy between spouses so that love could endure even when human imperfections emerge. It is the hand that reaches in patience when anger builds up. It is that hand that pats you in the back and tells you sorry, just calm down, just cool off. It is the tone that soothes when pride rises, when you don't want to apologize because you are right. It is what makes you to see beyond the anger of the moment. It is the willingness to forgive when mistakes are made, not because faults are small, but because love and justice demand healing. And it's only with mercy that this can become possible. For the husband, mercy is expressed in listening before judging, in listening to your wife before judging her, in guiding without dominating, and in correcting without humiliation. It is patience when a spouse makes a mistake, compassion when she struggles to do the right things, and restraint when conflict tempts harshness. When you see that she's struggling to get something right, or she's struggling to follow your instructions, or she's struggling to obey your command, mercy comes in and makes you to overlook the mistake she's making, and makes you to encourage her that, yes, I appreciate the little you have done. I believe you can do more than that. That is mercy. Mercy allows a husband to lead without oppression, to nurture without control, and to hold his home together without fear or force. As for the wife, madam, mercy is expressed in understanding, in tolerance, and in empathy. At least show kindness to your husband. Be merciful towards him. It is the grace to forgive mistakes. It is the patience to endure difficult moments. And it is the choice to respond with kindness even when you are hurt. Mercy allows the wife to speak truthfully without attacking, to protect her heart without withdrawing, and to maintain connection when emotions threaten separation. Mercy is not only reactive, it is also proactive. It is the daily choice to look for the good, to soften the harsh edges of routine, and to prioritize peace over proving oneself right. It is to generally make things easy for each other. That's what we are saying. Make life easy for yourselves. When both spouses practice mercy, you will see that love flows freely, tranquility deepens, and the home becomes a playground rather than a battlefield. And again, let us pay a special homage to mercy, the Raḥmah that Allah is talking about. Mercy is the soft rain in a world of drought. It does not announce itself with grandeur, but anywhere the rain falls, it leaves life there. If you need to fix your life, call on mercy. If your heart grows tired, return to mercy. If the words of your mouth are distressed, let mercy speak first. If pride blinds you, let mercy soften your sight. Look at things, like they say, with the eyes of mercy. Mercy is the comforting hand that steadies the trembling soul. It is the gentle word that repairs a broken bridge. It is the breath that reminds the soul that we are human and we are capable of divine compassion. We are human. We can make mistakes, but mercy is the one that understands that. In marriage, mercy is the space where imperfection is allowed, where faults are forgiven, and where love does not demand perfection to survive. It is the invisible hand that holds two souls together, stronger than anger, firmer than pride, and more sustaining than passion alone. When Allah places mercy between hearts, when Allah actually makes you and your spouse to have the capacity to show mercy to one another, Allah has not only given you a spouse, Allah has also given you a refuge. Allah has given you a home, a companion, a soulmate. Allah has given you a path back to patience, to gratitude, and to Him. There's hardly no way. In fact, there's absolutely no way that both of you will not meet the mercy of Almighty Allah. Because you are merciful to one another, Allah will have to show mercy on both of you. It is not just a motivation. This is a law of Almighty Allah. Man la yarham lam yurham. Whoever cannot show mercy to others, mercy will not be shown to them. So if you are merciful to your spouse and your spouse is merciful to you, how then will Allah not show mercy to both of you? This is what you should look for, dear husband and wife. This is what you should strive for. Build your marriage on these three pillars, and they are very important. However, after all said and done, I want to call our attention to something very important. And what is that? Knowing who you are with. That is, we have seen love, mercy, and tranquility. How will you know who you are with? What if you love somebody and they don't have the capacity to love you back? No. Don't get it again. It's not that they don't want to love you back, but they just don't have the capacity. They can't do it. They want to do it, but they can't love you back. What if you show mercy to somebody and they can't appreciate it because they are psychopaths or narcissists? What if you are trying to restore tranquility and maintain peace with a drama queen or a narcissistic husband? Is it possible to establish trust with a paranoid spouse. Marriage is a unification of hearts, but not all hearts are ready to receive. Not all hearts are capable of reflection, and not all hearts are built to sustain love, mercy, and tranquility in the same way. Some are emotional baskets. No matter how much love you pour into them, they are never full. Some others are just hopeless cases. No matter how much effort you dispense into them, they still struggle to respond. They are like lemons dropped into sugary water. Even in sweetness, their bitterness remains. Some habits are deeply ingrained in their psychology. Some patterns are formed over decades, and no amount of intention can instantly transform a soul that won't change. And as the saying goes, a leopard cannot change its spots. In nature, we see similar truths. The river flows where the land allows, but it cannot force the stones to move. The sun shines, but the thorn bush does not yield fruit. Nevertheless, the ocean's waves can touch the shore, but it is up to the sand to either shift or resist the force of the water. Similarly, your love, your mercy, and your tranquility can only be fully reflected in a heart that is ready to receive them. That is not failure on your own part, it is just the reality. Some people are not built, and some people don't have the capacity to relieve love, to reflect love, or to reciprocate love. The more you love them, the more they turn against you. The more you love them, the more they take you for granted. The more you try to give them peace, the more they abuse the privilege of you giving peace to them. And you see that in many cases of people. A woman that is very obedient, loving, and caring, the husband will take her for granted. He will take advantage of all of this love and care. He will take advantage of her kindness and will begin to misbehave. He will start carrying girlfriends up and down. He will start doing infidelity. And sometimes, he will even hide under polygamy. He will say he wants to marry another wife. Not that he really wants to marry. It's just that he's just a longer throat individual. Somebody who doesn't appreciate anything good. Somebody who takes other people's kindness and, what do we call it? You know, when somebody suffers with you, when somebody endures with you, when somebody accepts everything from you, when somebody accepts you the way you are, you know you are not such a nice person, but your wife has accepted you and managed you like that for so many years. Suddenly, you now take all of those things for granted. You begin to oppress her by carrying girlfriend all around. What is wrong with you? Is brain paining you? Is your brain paining you? You didn't see anybody to borrow you sense that you are being unjust in that way, and that a person that is showing mercy to you, that you refuse to repay back with kindness, Allah will intervene and Allah will intercede. Don't you get it? And in some other instances too, a woman wants love from the husband and she gets it. She wants peace from the husband and she gets it. She wants tranquility. She wants mercy from the husband and she gets it. But unfortunately, she can't handle it. She can't handle that kind of love. The man is too gentle, he's too kind, he's too caring. And because of that, she starts misbehaving. She starts giving him attitudes. She starts commandeering him. She starts dominating him. She starts turning him into a domestic man. A man that has things to do. You make him to do things in the house that even your own house help will not do. Is brain paining you? What's the cause of your problem actually? Look at it now. You found a good man, but you can't handle it. You found a gentle man, and you can't handle it. You found what many women are looking for, and you can't handle it. You still shout on him. You still talk down on him. You still downplay his efforts on you, and you still have the effrontery to be comparing him to other men. What is wrong with you? Is liver paining you? So what should an individual do when their spouse struggles to give love, mercy, or peace? That is when they cannot reciprocate. Number one, First and foremost, protect your own heart. Ensure that your emotional well-being, your boundaries, and your dignity are maintained and intact. Don't allow them to rob you of your emotional well-being. Don't allow them to drive you crazy. Continue to practice patience because that's who you are. Continue to be kind, continue to be fair, but recognize that these virtues do not guarantee reciprocity. You are responsible for your actions, not for rewriting another person's character. Take that as number one. You can't change people who will not change. You cannot bind what does not cling. You cannot wash the spots off a leopard. What you must do, don't allow them to put their own on you. You are somebody who had been soft-spoken and gentle in your approaches. Now you see they are beginning to make you shout. They are beginning to make you scream. They are beginning to make you keep malice. This is not who you are. Protect yourself. Protect your honor and dignity and draw the boundaries there. There's a reason why Allah gave us this body that we have. This body, apart from other spiritual beings, we are the ones that are so favored. This is part of the karam. This is part of the honor that Allah has done to us as bashar, as people with body. We are not amoeba. We are not paramecia. We are human beings with body and defined shapes. So we have boundaries. Other spiritual beings, they wish they could be like us. That's why some jinns that don't have body, they like to possess people, because they really appreciate the fact that so you can have a body, you can be disciplined, you can be contained, and you can do things in your own way, in your own terms. They respect the fact that we have bodies, and that is why they want to be like us sometimes. And that is part of the ways through which the child of Adam with Bashar is superior to some other creatures of Allah that do not have bodies like we do. And the wisdom behind Allah giving you bodies is so that you can know that you should have boundaries in your life also. Create boundaries. Don't allow people to infiltrate into your peace. Protect your heart. Don't allow them to damage it for you. That is number one thing you should do. If you have married somebody who is not capable of kindness and of mercy and of tranquility. Secondly, adjust your expectations wisely. Discern what your spouse can realistically offer. Celebrate the small moments of connection, of gratitude and effort, rather than measuring the relationship against ideals that are beyond their capacity. La yukallifullahu nafsan illa wus'aha. Allah has not imposed on anyone except what they can carry. That is a paraphrased translation of that statement in the Quran. What I mean by that is, you know their limits, you know their capacities. Don't over-expect. Don't expect an elephant to fly. Just allow them to be rolling where they are. You know the extent to which they can show love. You know the extent to which they can show gratitude. In fact, some men would rather die than to say thank you. And some women would rather die than to say I'm sorry. If you know that's the kind of spouse that you have, stop expecting them to be any better. In fact, you should expect them to be who exactly they are. So that whenever they come out in their true colors, you are not going to be disappointed. You already know that that's what they are and that's what they can do. Sometimes what seems like lack is simply a reflection of their own limitations. It could be a reflection of their past trauma or their unlearned patterns. If you see something like that, please adjust your expectations wisely. Don't go expecting romance from somebody who doesn't even know what it means to be romantic. That's what I mean. So if he's not romancing with you and he tries to smile once in a while, just manage that smile. In fact, take selfie with him with that smile, so that whenever you need smile from him, you just like go to the file where you store the pictures of his smile, and then you smile to yourself. Make do what we have. I'm just joking. But in reality, some people are not capable of that. So just don't expect too much from them. Number 3, seek support and guidance. Marriage is not meant to be endured alone. Counseling, Islamic guidance, and trusted mentorship can help you to navigate the relationship without compromising your spiritual and your emotional integrity. And in all things, place your ultimate trust in Allah, knowing that Allah sees your effort and Allah protects those who act justly. So seek support and guidance. Who knows? Maybe along the line, somebody will talk to them and they start learning all over again on how to practice those 3 pillars that we talk about. And finally, remember, your practice of love, your show of mercy, and your guarantee of peace and tranquility is itself a form of ibadah. It's a form of worship. Even if your spouse cannot yet reflect these virtues, your consistent good conduct cultivates barakah in your life. It preserves your dignity and sets the standard for the relationship. You have your standard, so maintain that standard between you and Almighty Allah. Nature teaches us that growth requires patience, it requires alignment, and requires acceptance of what cannot be forced or what cannot be hastened up. So too does marriage. Marriage too, there are some things that you cannot force, and there are some things you cannot hasten up. It can take years before some people really get it. It can take years before they actually learn. And if you are ready to stay in that marriage, then you should continue to practice the love and mercy and the tranquility that Allah put in place. Show love regardless, because that's who you are. So having said that, let us now summarize and conclude with this reflection: the beauty and the purpose of marriage. I will summarize first. Marriage, like we said, is a voyage of the heart. It's a sanctuary for the soul, and it's a path of growth ordained by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The sweetness of marriage is not found in perfection or ease, but it is found in the daily choices of 2 imperfect beings that are striving together toward beauty, towards purpose, and the pleasure of Allah. It's a journey where tranquility, love, and mercy are the guiding stars, each supporting the other, each indispensable to the harmony of the home. Together, these 3 that we mentioned, these 3 pillars, tranquility, love, and mercy, they create the environment in which marriage thrives. They turn houses into homes. They turn routines into rituals of care, and challenges into opportunities for growth. They remind us that marriage is not a contract, not a convenience, not a fleeting romance. It is a lifelong union of hearts that are constantly learning to reflect Allah's mercy, wisdom, and love. So if you are seeking sweetness, go to marriage. If you are seeking growth, go to marriage. If you are seeking a path to patience, to forgiveness, and divine closeness, go to marriage. And in this union, remember, a marriage is sweet and beautiful, not because it is free from struggle, but because it teaches you to cultivate peace when it could be chaos. It teaches you to love when you could easily allow it to fade, and teaches you to show mercy when the marriage could easily break. When you embrace marriage with intention, it becomes more than a union of 2 people. It becomes a living reflection of Allah's care. It becomes a resting place for the heart and a continuous opportunity to grow closer to Almighty Allah. So when they say happy married life, this comprises of 3 things: happiness, marriage, and life. You will be able to combine all 3 together in your home. And you see, between happy and life, there's married inside. So once you get married, and as you are married, you will be able to combine happiness with life, and you'll be able to find life in happiness. This is at least the least that marriage will do for you. My name is Abdulfattah Adeyemi. Thank you very much indeed. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Welcome to a place where we celebrate your greatness and nurture your path to even greater accomplishments. Acquire Abdulfattah Adeyemi's soul-lifting handmade masterpieces and experience the divine beauty of Islamic artistry. Join the community. Transform your life. Edit your universe.